Do you think it's bad that I charge my friends for their kids to eat and drink at my house?
I think it's a shit show. I think it's bad.
Well, I think it's quite reasonable, to be honest.
I saw a comment on this video that said this is some white people stuff, and it definitely is.
Raise your hand if your jaw is still on the floor from this woman's actions. Now, this topic was too juicy. I had to make a video about it because I think that there are several factors that are kind of mind-blowing to me right now. The first one being that she would come on the internet and say that with her full chest. And I do not think that this woman was clickbaiting because she 100% does this with her friends. I mean, she brought her friends, put them in the video. Clearly, she believes in what she's doing and has no shame. But I'm not here to pile onto this lady like others on the internet are. I kind of want to think about this in a realistic manner. But yeah, overall, people think that she's just completely out of pocket, and brown people particularly. So as you may have guessed, this video is now deleted because she was getting cooked like the food that she was charging for on the internet. A lot of people commenting things like, what's the world coming to? And if my friends eat for free, their kids eat for free, which I agree with. So as I mentioned, a lot of brown communities on TikTok were shook by this lady's behavior because we tend to be a more communal people. And this has definitely brought up conversations about the lack of community nowadays, especially for new parents. I mean, we've all heard the phrase, it takes a village to raise a child. But nowadays, we see all the time, that many grandparents don't want to watch the kids like they used to. I've seen a lot of videos about millennials wondering where the boomer grandparents are. Because personally, I remember growing up and I was always at grandma's house, hanging with my cousins, watching Laverne and Shirley, George Jefferson, and the heat of the night, whatever was on grandma's TV. But nowadays, it feels like people don't have as much community with cousins or even friends. But I guess let's play devil's advocate here. Let's look at this situation from this woman's perspective. Maybe her place is the place where everyone convenes all the time. Maybe it's the easiest place for everyone to get to, and she's having a hard time affording guests over. I mean, we all know how expensive groceries are these days. So I feel like it would make more sense and it'd be more understandable throwing her 20 or 30 bucks here and there, kind of pooling money for groceries. But that's not what's going on here. I think that there's something particularly diabolical about individually charging for a juice here or a sandwich there or fruit. Basically treating your friends and their kids like a side hustle. Also, she wasn't charging her friends for food before. But inviting her friends and their kids over to your house, knowing at some point that the kids might get hungry, probably having food sitting out, that just seems Disney villain level bad. Someone also commented that between her friends, they have 12 kids, which is a lot of mouths to feed. And taking the state of the economy into account, you could probably see things from her side a little more. However, personally, if having the kids over was going to be such a large financial hardship for me, I would simply not have them over as often. Or I would explain what's going on to my friends, and they would probably pack snacks for the kids, bring stuff with them, or throw me some cash or something like that. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing to me is my relationship with my friends and their kids. And for sensitive situations like this, I think that it's important to treat each other with as much empathy as possible. But this behavior is not the best way to cultivate and nurture her friendships at all. And I can definitely see there being some animosity. I mean, you can already see it in the video. Kids definitely do cost money, but with a little planning, they can be relatively inexpensive to feed if doing it sporadically. And sometimes when I see situations like this, I think back to my childhood and what my mother would do in this situation. Because when we were kids, if we went over someone's house to visit or for a play date and the host tried to charge us for food, I can already see my mother yanking us from that house immediately and telling us that we're never going there again. I know this in my soul without even asking her. I feel like when it comes to modern day friendships, your friends having kids either strengthens your relationship and you relish your role as an auntie or uncle, or it's friends like this woman who want to keep you in their life, but, genuinely don't really like kids. I also read some interesting Reddit threads from people who still enjoyed hanging out with their friends after they had kids, but don't like having their kids around because their friends aren't good parents. But that's a discussion for another time. Someone also commented how many people charge their friends when their kids break stuff in their house. For me, I know when the kids are coming over, I make sure certain things aren't out. Also because it's a safety issue primarily. And unless the kid went out of their way to explicitly break something, I'm not going to charge my friends for that. Let me know if you agree or disagree. I know that the economy is tough, but I just do not think that there's anything that would make me have the same behavior as this woman who charged her friends. But apparently it's becoming more common. So I'm going to share with you guys a Reddit thread that went viral a little while ago because this woman was charged for dinner at her friend's house retroactively. So this user says, my friend texted me last night asking if I wanted to come over for dinner. She was cooking, didn't say what it was. She invited 2 other friends over and my friend made us food and we had a great night. This morning, I got a text from one of her friends saying to not forget to send money to my friend. I texted my friend and apologized as I was unaware she wanted payment for last night. She said she had charged her 2 other friends we saw last night for the ingredients it took to cook, which was $7 a person. I was a little confused by this, but I sent her the $7 anyway and just chalked it up to, now you know if she invites you over, be prepared to pay her deal. Am I wrong to be a little surprised by this? She just moved out to my town. I went to school with her a few years ago and hadn't seen her in years. Now, I had sent her money before when she offered to buy me food from a restaurant near her house, but I didn't think she'd seriously charge me for a dinner party she hosted and cooked for. I grew up in it's my house, it's my treat culture where you pay that person back through bringing a side dish or drinks, or maybe it's you who hosts next time. I texted before leaving asking if I needed to bring anything, and she told me no. I don't know, it makes me feel weird, like she's going to nickel and dime me from now on if I so much as open a drink at her house. Is this normal, or are all my friends who don't do this out of the loop on etiquette? So yeah, to me, this sounds like the hostess has extremely poor etiquette, and a lot of the comments agreed. One person said, you were gracious to send her the $7, but you're right, I wouldn't accept an invitation from her again. And a lot of people were calling it tacky and abnormal. Yeah, and I think that the fact that this lady wasn't even embarrassed for doing something so gauche, I wouldn't be friends with a person like that because I feel like she lacks good judgment and basic manners. And you could say, maybe this girl didn't have a lot of money, so that was the reasoning for her to invite people over and charge them without letting them know in advance. But this comment from OP showed me just how tacky this girl is. OP said, yeah, she bought a few packs of pre-packaged chicken skewers for us to eat dinner, and she put them in the oven while we talked and caught up on what we were doing lately. She was intending to keep the rest of the leftovers for her own lunches this week, so I guess we all paid for her meal prepping for the rest of the week, lol. In conclusion, whether it be somebody charging their friends and their kids for food when they come over, or inviting your friends over for dinner and then retroactively charging them for a plate, it signals tackiness, stinginess, and a lack of care for your relationships. And with friends like this, who needs enemies? Please like and subscribe for more. Once again, thank you all for liking and subscribing. Please make sure to click the bell as well so that you can get notifications as soon as I post new content. And if you'd like to support my channel, I put my Venmo and my PayPal here. Thanks again.
The White Delegation formally denounces the actions of this individual as they are not reflective upon any of our guidelines, policies, and protocols. Furthermore, this individual has acted alone in directly defying the policies of the delegation. We are issuing a formal apology to the friends of this individual, and we ask that the other racial councils formally strike this incident from our record. In exchange for expunging this incident from our record, we will take appropriate punitive measures against this individual up to and including returning her to the bridge under which she should be dwelling.